Hey guys, so in this video we'll be discussing settlement versus modification. They're two different things, so let's get to it. The question mentions that on December 31st, 2017, Green Bank enters into a debt restructuring agreement with Troubled Inc., which is now experiencing financial trouble. The bank agrees to restructure a $2 million 12% note receivable issued at par by the following modifications. The first modification is that principal obligation is reduced from $2 million to $1.9 million. The second modification is that the maturity date is extended from December 31st, 2017 to December 31st, 2020. And the third modification is the interest rate is reduced from 12% to 10%. The question mentions that Troubled pays interest at the end of each year. On January 1st, 2021, Troubled Inc. pays $1.9 million in cash to Green Bank. Troubled prepares financial statements in accordance with IFRS 9. So the first thing that we have to do is determine the present value of the future cash flows of the new debt. In this case, present value is unknown. The interest rate is 12%, and we have to use the original interest rate in this calculation. The original interest rate has to be used in this calculation. The time is 3 years, which is the increase in the loan period. Payment is $190,000 as a negative number. That's the reduced interest rate multiplied by the new future value. The reduced interest rate is 10%. The new future value is $1,900,000. So 10% of $1,900,000 is $190,000, and that's the payment. The future value is $1,900,000, and therefore that is used. Again, that number is also a negative. So the present value comes to $1,808,730. Now, because the present value, which was $1,808,730, of the future cash flows of the new debt does not differ by an amount greater than 10% of the present value of the old debt, the renegotiated debt is not considered settlement. What they're basically saying here is that because the difference between the present value of the new debt and the present value of the old debt is less than 10% of the value of the old debt, this is considered a modification, not a settlement. The old debt had a value of $2 million. $2 million multiplied by 10% is $200,000. If the present value was less than $1,800,000, it would have been recorded as a settlement, but it's not a settlement, it's a modification. Therefore, no gain is recorded. Since it's considered a modification, the old debt remained on the books of Troubled at $2 million. However, note disclosure is required. Now, when we create an amortization schedule, we have to calculate the new interest rate. When calculating the new interest rate, we have to use the original present value, which was $2 million, because you're moving from $2 million to $1.9 million at a certain increment, which is determined by the interest rate. And that's what we're trying to solve for, the interest rate. The time is still 3 years. Payment is still negative $190,000, and the future value stays at negative $1,900,000. So when you solve for the interest rate, you get 7.9592%. This new interest rate would be the effective or the market interest rate that's used. And it's used when creating the amortization schedule for the debtor. For the creditor, the effective interest rate that you use would be 12%, which is the original rate. But for the debtor, you have to calculate a new interest rate. So here's the amortization schedule. You guys can see here that cash interest at 10% stays the same at $190,000. The effective interest rate does change, and that's 7.95. 90% times the value of the carrying amount. Now, the difference, which is the reduction of carrying amount, will take the value of the note to $1,900,000 at these increments. So that's how it works. That's the video. Study hard. This could be on your exam. Good luck. Bye.